In this video, I'll be showing you how to make the letter B using a rubber band loom. I'll be using a Rainbow Loom, but you can use any brand that has the pins in a straight row. I'm going to just be using one row of pins, so I've removed the other two, but if you have a brand of loom that the pins don't come off, that's okay. You will need 21 rubber bands, and I've chosen a metallic pink color. You're going to start with the arrows facing away from you, and for every rubber band that I place on, it's going to be doubled. So in order to do this, I just place it on my hook, twist, and put it back on. So there's 2 bands on the hook. And I'm going to start on the end pin and just move up to the next pin. I'm going to place a total of 5 rubber bands going up the loom. And they're all going to be doubled. And also, as I'm placing these on, I want to push them down to the bottom of the pin, so that way I will have room to add my next layer on top. And now I've gone the length of 5 rubber bands, so I'm going to start back at the beginning with the arrows still facing away from me. And this time I'm going to go the length of 6 rubber bands, starting on the end. And again, these are always doubled rubber bands. Some people like to use their fingers to double the bands, and if you find that method easier, you can certainly do that. I personally like to use the hook when I'm stretching bands out in between pins. So this is the 5th rubber band, so I need one more. Make sure they both get on there. And now on this end pin, I want to put a cap band that I'm going to quadruple. So in order to do that, I'm just placing it on my hook, twist, put it back on, twist, put it back on, twist, and put it back on. So you can see the 4 rubber bands, and they are going to go right on top of this pin. Now it's definitely going to be tight to get on. And if you find that your rubber bands aren't very stretchy and you're having a very hard time to get that on, you can just triple that band. Now I'm going to turn my loom around so the arrows are now facing towards me. And I want to loop this top layer of bands. So I'm going to be placing my hook down through the middle, pushing back on the top 4 bands, grabbing the next 2 here at the bottom. Going to hold this cap band in place just so it doesn't come off. And now I'm going to work my way up till I get to the top of the loom. And there's also this lower layer of rubber bands. We're not doing anything with that. So I'm just grabbing these top 2 and moving them ahead. Just going to do that up the whole length of the loom. And now I want this top layer to come off everywhere except for this top pin. So I am going to place my thumb over top of this end pin. I'm going to go down to the bottom here, place my hook inside this cap band, and I want to leave these bands on my hook. I'm going to carefully pull this off. And now I want to slide these bands out to the right. I should still have these 4 rubber bands on my hook, and I'm going to put them on the 3rd pin down from the top of the loom. Just want to make sure that all 4 of those bands make it on that pin. And these looped bands are just going to rest out to the right hand side here. I'm going to turn the loom around again. And now I want to go to that 4th pin from the end of the loom. And I am going to place 7 rubber bands going up the loom. And again, these are all doubled rubber bands. So hopefully by now you've gotten the hang of doubling the rubber bands. It makes it a little bit harder to get them on because it's tighter, but I think it helps for the letters to hold their shape better. I have one more rubber band to do here. So this last band should stop 2 pins short from the end of the loom. And now on this pin I want to put a quadrupled cap band. So I'm wrapping it around. So there are 4 bands on my hook. And I'm going to place this right on the top here. Again, make sure all 4 bands make it on. And now once again I'm turning my loom around so the arrows are facing towards me. And now I want to loop this layer that I just put on, pushing back on those top 4 bands, grabbing the bottom 2. And now I'm just working with this top layer again. And now on these pins you have this lower layer. We're just ignoring that for right now. And now once again I'm going to put my thumb over this last pin where I just stopped. And I want the rest of these rubber bands to come off. And I'm twisting this out to the right. And the 4 rubber bands that are on my hook are going to now go on this last pin down. I want to make sure all 4 get on there. Again, these bands are just out to the right. And now what I want to do is loop this last layer of bands. It's that first layer we had put on. So I'm reaching my hook down through, pushing back, and grabbing these bottom 2 bands. And I'll just work my way up till I get to the top. It's going to be very full on this pin and the next one. So you're reaching down through all of these bands, pushing back. You're just grabbing the bottom 2. It might be a little tight, so just be careful. You can wiggle it back and forth very gently to release it. And then the same thing for this next one. And then we're at the top. And now I'm going to reach my hook through the middle, push it out to the side, grabbing this very last rubber band and pulling it up through, putting the loose end back on my hook. So I have 2 rubber bands on there now, and I'm going to just carefully remove this. It's going to be tight in some of the spots. And now I want the band that's closest to the end of my hook to go through the other one, and then you want to pull it pretty snugly so it forms a slip knot. And then here is your letter B, and you might have to adjust it a little bit. You want this part that's like the spine to be nice and straight, and then you want the loops to be nice and rounded. And there is your letter B. And here is another letter B that I made using some metallic tan rubber bands. So hopefully everyone found this tutorial easy to follow along with. You can always leave me comments on YouTube and Facebook, post pictures of your creations to my Facebook page, and please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can stay up to date on all of my latest tutorials. You can also find me on Pinterest and Instagram, so please feel free to subscribe to those as well. Thank you!